Hey everybody, this is Justin with Needly Detailing, and today we're going to be restoring the headlights on this 2009 Lexus GS 350. So to start out, we're going to clean the headlight. The car's been cleaned, even though it looks not so clean. This thing needs a complete makeover. However, I'm going to go ahead and wipe down the surface, and then I'm going to get to the first stage, which is going to be sanding. And to sand, I'm going to be using 1000, 2000, and 3000 grit sandpaper. And from there, we're going to polish. So let's go ahead and clean these things. So I'm using GYEON Prep Q2M. Clean it. It's basically alcohol and water. And I'm just going to wipe it down. Make sure we don't have dirt on there prior. So I'm going to go ahead and mask off these surfaces. To do that, I'm going to be using 3M auto tape, and my goal is to cover the chrome. On this car it's only chrome, and then over here it's only paint and chrome. I'm just going to focus on this headlight for now, and I'll do the rest separately, but this will be the one we're focused on. This is the one that we're going to try to get as good as possible. I'm going to show you my process of how I do that. So let's tape. What I try to do, as often as possible is to get the tape underneath the lens. Then it covers just this area, nothing on the lens. I can come back with another piece of tape below it or around it. So that's kind of the goal right now, is to see if I can get this underneath. If I can, that's great. If I can't, we'll work around that. Yeah, so normally you can shimmy it in there. Sometimes the gap is too tight and you're not going to be able to do that, but that's not the case here. So I have pretty decent gap, I would say, between the hip, if I can get the tape to stick. It's really humid out, so it's gonna take a little bit more effort than if it was not, in regards to the taping. Okay, and now that we have the entire headlight taped off, next thing we're going to do is we're going to use 1000 grit wet dry sandpaper. And I'm going to sand this wet. To start the process, I have this bottle here. It's filled up with probably 99% water and just a pinch of soap. All that this water is for is to keep your paper from clogging up. So if you didn't use water or something on this, the pores in between all the grit would clog up and it would render this useless. So we use water that keeps it cleared out and it makes this last way longer. So let's start. So all I'm gonna do is spray the surface real well. I'm going to fold the paper into thirds, like so. I'll spray this down well all the way around, and I'm not concerned about water getting down here. That's all right. It'll wipe off and or spray off without any issue. I will be wiping along the way, but I'm not overly concerned about down there. All right, so the first thing you want to do is go in straight patterns this way. Okay, so I'm just going to start sanding, and I'm just going to go in one direction. Yeah, these things are in terrible shape. You can see how yellow everything is. Hopefully it's picking it up on film, but yeah, it's pretty bad. So all the yellow is all of the oxidation that's on the plastic. There's plenty of it. So you're going to see that I'm spraying this down constantly, and that's to remove all the bad stuff from the surface that I'm currently sanding on, and keep it from getting into the sandpaper itself. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for what's coming off there to be a kind of a clear color. So this almost milky white color is it's kind of what we're looking for. So the goal right now is to sand off all of the oxidation and junk that's built up, and to get the entire surface uniform to this grit. And what that means is the entire surface will have the same look to it all the way across. Once I get that, that means that I'm all the way down to the same level all the way around. Then I can move on to the next grit. What's interesting about these is there's a lot of spider webbing in the plastic. It's in pretty bad shape, and so it's gonna be interesting to see how these things look when they're completed. I'm gonna say they're probably gonna look okay, but there's not a lot you can do once it starts cracking kind of through. Not much you can do about that. So I'm gonna do a quick wipe down, see where we're at here. See if it's consistent or not. All right, so now it's pretty well dry and pretty close. I'm gonna go over it just a little bit more, then I can move on to the next sanding phase, which will be 2000 grit. So that should just about do it. Do a quick wipe down. Let's see how we're looking. Make sure we're looking consistent. All the yellowing is gone. Give it a minute to dry here. So while it's drying, I'm going to go ahead and fold the 2000 grit paper into thirds. So surface looks very consistent in this stage. Now we have the 2000 grit. Do the same thing. I'm going to cover it all real well with water. Now on this stage, I'm going to go in up and down movements. And by doing this, you'll be able to see if you got all the scratches out or not from the previous step. Now, one thing I will say is in the corners, I still have to go along the grain. For the rest of it, I'll go up and down. So we can call it the main surface that we're going straight up and down on. And then on the corners, going left to right. So now I'm into the corner, make sure that that's consistent as well. Give it a second to dry and see what we're looking at here. Okay, it's looking good. I'm just going to cruise over it in the opposite direction. This is still with the 2000. So I got all the marks out going the one way. So So I'll make sure we're good and flat the rest of the way here. So as you can see, it's starting to clear up a bit. Let it dry for a minute here. Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to look a bit less cloudy. So the yellowing is gone, other than maybe the yellow from my lights. If I block those out, you can see a little better. All right. So now I took my 3000 grit and folded it into thirds. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to spray this down well, spray this down well. We're going to proceed doing the same thing. Except this time we're going to go left to right. And we'll do a little bit of up and down as well. But it's mostly going to be left to right. Now when I'm sanding, I'm putting a pretty decent amount of pressure on there. Doesn't have to be brute force, but definitely need to have pressure on there so that it's actually cutting. Otherwise, you'll be here all day. And the plastic's hard enough that you're not gonna have to worry about, making a surface too, putting divots, I would say. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, so as you can see, it's really starting to clear up. So the goal for each step is to remove the sanding marks from the previous step and have a consistent look across the entire headlight. All right, spray it down real well. Then wipe it and see how it looks. Let's give it a second to dry. All right, it's looking good. Not too shabby. So the piece of chrome is showing there. When we get into the polishing stage, it's not going to affect the chrome, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. The sanding stage is done. So now to refine this, what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of things. One is going to be my Rupes polisher. This is an LHR 15 ES. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to use 3D1 to start with. So it's pretty conservative, I would say. And we'll go a little bit heavier if we need to, but we're going to start with this. So I'm going to take our 3D1 polish, shake it up real well. Put 3 dabs on here. Now I'm not going to prime the pad first. Typically I would do that on paint. On this I'm not going to. I'm going to dab it onto the surface. I'm going to put it down to about 3 and turn it on. I'm going to take an Ultra Plush microfiber. This is made by the Rat Company. These things are amazing. It's looking a bit better. However, we need to go more. We do a bit more polishing on this. wipe it down. Let's see what we got. Another thing too, so I'm using a dual action polisher, and what that does is it orbits two ways, so you're less likely to generate a bunch of heat on the surface, even though you can. One thing to keep in mind is if you're using a rotary, so it doesn't have dual spinning, it just spins around a single center. If you're dwelling on an area, you can easily cause yourself problems, potentially melt plastic, and that's not what we want to do. So I would say that looks pretty good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to use 3D1 as well. And we're going to use the Hybrid Nano by Rupes with a yellow pad, and I'm just going to put a little tiny bit on this. And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to focus just on the corners. So go ahead and kind of wipe this around a bit. Put a little too much on there, which is okay. Not going to hurt anything. So this is a rotary, so it doesn't have a second orbit. So it's just gonna go in a circle, so I have to be careful with this. You do not want to sit in one area when you're doing this. Okay. I'll wipe that off and let's see how it looks. All right, that's it. So I'd say it looks pretty darn good. Let's go ahead and get in a little closer here so you can see the after. So there's after, and this is before. And I don't know if it's going to look that bad on film, but yeah, they're pretty awful. Pretty bad. So here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of these and then follow that up with ceramic coating, and I'll record once we get to that point. See you in a few. Moving on to the ceramic coating. So I went ahead and finished up the other headlights and removed the tape, and then followed that up with GYEON Prep. Now we're going to use GYEON Q2 trim and a microsuede applicator to apply the ceramic coating. So once you remove the cap, you're going to want to shake it up very well. Next, you're going to want to apply a generous amount of product, especially for the first one. Perfect. To your microsuede applicator. Next, you want to apply around the edge first. So all the way into the corners is where we're going to start. I realize that there's nothing on the very edge of the microsuede applicator. That's okay. And we're going to go in up and down motions to begin with after that. Next, now I'm going to go around it again, and this does have product all the way to the edge. So we're making sure that we get full coverage. Now we're going the opposite direction to make sure that the entire thing is covered well, and we're going to let it dry for 15 seconds, or let's say semi-cure for 15 seconds before we wipe it off. Okay, now we're going to use our microfiber towel made by the Rag Company. It's a fairly plush towel, and we're going to use it to wipe it off. So we'll wipe it, and then we're going to flip the towel. And then we're going to do a final wipe. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and apply a second coat on this headlight, and I'm going to do 2 coats on the rest of the headlights. So let's go ahead and take a look at them and see how they turned out. So like I said earlier in the video, these do have cracking kind of all the way through the plastic, not where moisture can get through, but there is cracking through it. And considering that, I feel like these turned out really, really well. I sure hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe, like the video. That really helps the algorithm to push this video up so other people can see it. And on that note, I hope you have a great day and or great night, and we will see you soon. And don't forget to keep it neat. Take care.